Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary tool that will change the way you understand yourself and others. Our partners at the Why Institute have created the Why.os Discovery Platform, a powerful tool that in just 10 minutes can help you uncover your core motivations, how you bring them to life, and what others can expect from you. This is more than just a self-awareness tool. It's a game changer for coaches and those who want to help their clients reach their full potential. If you're a coach or a sales leader, go to whyinstitute.com and look for the Why certification. We'll put the link in the show notes. When you reach out to the Why Institute, let them know you heard about it on Selling from the Heart, and you'll be on your way to helping your people discover what drives them. Don't just take our word for it. Go to whyinstitute.com and see the powerful impact the Why.os discovery can have on your life.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
We got all kinds of things going on. It's a great day here at Selling from the Heart. We're just knocking on spring's door, so super excited to be here. I'm telling you this, I always share this, Darrell. I always say we're in for a treat with our podcast guest, but this time we're in for a treat. Let me tell you with our podcast guest.
Guy Kawasaki is in the house today. You're going to be so excited about this remarkable conversation. And as we get started, just a shout out to the incredible community of like-hearted sales professionals all over the world. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we're so thankful to be voted the number 2 podcast in sales. And we're so thankful for this growing audience right now and the community that is rising all around saying, I believe in being genuine. I believe in being authentic. I believe in building trust. And what a great, great group of people, Larry.
Absolutely. But, I just have to say thank you to everyone at Top Sales World, because that's who voted on this. And if we're going to come number 2, I'd like to come number 2 to Shep Hike. And that's all I got to say, Darrell.
That's right. Hey, thank you. And thanks for everyone who's sharing. We got a great show today. One of the things as we move out of winter into spring, and this is prime time, you got to stay focused, got to stay inspired. And we want to invite you to get a daily dose of inspiration. That's right. Larry Levine in your inbox every morning with a fresh dose of inspiration. If you're not set up on this, you want to do this. This is an incredible way to get your day started.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always shared that I don't repeat the same message. This comes from things that I've read, things that I've listened to, other podcasts, conversations I've had. I just take these, I flip them around, I put them into an inspiration, and I leave you with a mirror moment, something to think about. I promise this will help you brighten your day.
To get the daily dose of inspiration, just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/daily. Links in the show notes. You want to join thousands of sales professionals around the world who are getting inspired every morning. Speaking of inspiration, today we are thrilled to have Guy Kawasaki, the chief evangelist of Canva and the author of the amazing new book, Think Remarkable: 9 Paths to Transform Your Life and Make a Difference. Guy's storied career includes being Apple's former chief evangelist, hosting the Remarkable People podcast, and roles with Wikimedia Foundation and Google's Motorola division. He's got degrees from Stanford University and UCLA and an honorary doctorate from Babson. Guy brings a rich blend of innovation, wisdom, and life to everything he does. Let's explore together how to transform your life and make a difference with insights from this incredible new book, Think Remarkable. Guy, welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast. It's awesome to have you here.
Yeah, Darrell, you got to try some decaf, man.
Hey, Guy, I can tell you right below his mic is a cup of coffee. I can tell you.
Oh, it's good. It's good. We want to stay Tim Hortons, baby. We want to stay full octane. And this is going to be such a great conversation. I'm really, really enjoying this brand new book. Thanks for giving us a preview of it. As we get started, though, Guy, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
What it means for me to sell from the heart means that you have the other person's best interests at heart, not just your own. So it's not your salary, your commission, your bonus. Is what you're selling good for the other person? And I've done that with Macintosh. I'm doing that with Canva. I truly do believe that if I ask you or tell you or suggest to you or evangelize to you that you use a Macintosh and you use Canva, yes, it's good for me, but it is also very good for you. That's selling from the heart.
Oh, hey,
Love
Guy,
it.
this is so good because we believe here at Selling from the Heart to be others focused. And if we just flip the switch on this for a second, people can sense when you're me focused. When you're me focused in conversations, it comes across, it's pretty inevitable. And we here at Selling from the Heart, Guy, we call it commission breath. But when you're others focused, people sense that as well. And watch what starts to happen next.
Yep. I tell people that evangelism, which comes from a Greek word meaning bringing the good news, it's the good news is Macintosh makes you more creative and productive. Canva makes you a better communicator because it's democratized design. And that's the kind of stuff it does, as opposed to enable me to make my yearly bonus.
Mm. I love this term evangelist. I wish we would use it more in the sales world because I think it really encapsulates the heart of what authentic selling is. Well, hey, Guy, I'm so grateful that you put this book together. Remarkable. It truly is a remarkable book. It is a guide to living a remarkable life, having a remarkable career. It's available. By the way, if you're listening, I know by the end of this, you're going to want to hit pause, walk, don't run to your bookstore online. I'm thoroughly enjoying this book. But Guy, what was the inspiration behind putting all these stories together? Because you did a lot of work. This is packed with stories of remarkable people.
Well, yeah, can I tell you a joke? So Tom Clancy, the mystery thriller writer, he was at a press conference for one of his new books. And a reporter asked him, Tom, what's your new book about? And he said, it's about $25. So I'm tempted when you asked me that question to tell you, it was a big advance that motivated me. So I have this podcast called Remarkable People. It's about 5 years old. We've had, a couple hundred guests. And these guests include people or if you're a sales professional, you would truly appreciate the episodes with people like Bob Cialdini, David Ocker, Angela Duckworth. These are the social psychologists and behaviorists. And then we have Jane Goodall and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Margaret Atwood and Stacey Abrams. So we have very remarkable people. But as I look at the mound of work that we've created, it's now 250 hours and 5,000 pages. And I said, nobody's going to listen or read all that. And then, I'm a nonfiction writer and I've written, this is my 16th book, and I know nonfiction business book writing very well. And many of those books are 250 pages to explain one idea. And why do you need 250 pages to explain how to pivot or how to make an MVP? So using 40 years of experience on the front lines in Silicon Valley, my producer and I, we took down all this information to 170 pages. So we have 170 pages about the best techniques to make a difference and to be remarkable. And we counted, there's 88 techniques in this book. So each technique gets roughly 2 pages. So you should be able to read this book in a weekend.
Love it.
And you know what I really like is early on in the book, because it's a word you use, and it's actually the second chapter of the book around vulnerability, because I'm a big believer, and we all ooze this at Selling from the Heart, that vulnerability is a sign of wisdom and a sign of strength.
Yeah.
It's not a sign of weakness. And I just wish more people would understand. And I love how you unpacked it, because there's some great stuff in there, because you also quoted Brene Brown, who one of these days, Guy, we're going to try to get Brene Brown on this podcast.
Well, good luck. I couldn't get her either. So, okay, we're going to go slightly R-rated for a second, okay? I'll tell you a story. So when I was a kid growing up in Hawaii, my uncle used to take me to these Japanese movies, samurai movies. And there was this famous priest called Zatoichi. He was this blind priest. And he had this really plain sword. And, he would be bumbling around the countryside because he's blind. And the thieves and the gangsters would always pick on him, but needless to say, they ended up all decapitated. So anyway, once in this movie, Zatoichi was captured by these guys, and to humiliate him, these gangsters made Zatoichi sleep with a prostitute in front of them. Okay. So they're all laughing because they're humiliating this priest, making him sleep with this prostitute. And then at the end of this, one of the guys says, you know what? If you think about it, the fact that a blind priest can be forced to have sex with a prostitute and perform, that probably means he's not scared. So we should be scared. And I saw that. I said, you know what? If you really have strength, you can show weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're seeing that right now in the United States. There's a lot of people who don't really have strength, but they're sure trying to act like they do.
Wow. Yeah. And that, I love the way the book is organized. It alliterates near and dear to my heart around 3 categories of growth, grit, and grace. All things that are really, really, really critical for success, especially in the profession of sales. Growth. One of the things we talk about a lot at Selling from the Heart is how we start our day and what we do to kickstart the morning. And this is a little off script, but I'm curious, after interviewing all of these people and after your storied career, how does Guy Kawasaki start his day?
Well, it depends on how you define start.
Okay.
Because, okay. Man, you should never ask questions you don't want the answer to. So I'm 69 years old, and I swear to God, I cannot sleep late anymore. I mean, I wish I could sleep. When I was young, I could sleep till 10, 12 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I get up at 4 o'clock. And this is in the category of do not do what I do. I get up at 4 o'clock, and my phone is right there. And so I start checking email, text, WhatsApp, and social media. This is at 4 a.m. And then hopefully I go back to sleep. Now I wake up and I have this theory, and I even have a picture in the book. Basically, every morning I eat 1 piece of wheat toast with peanut butter and a banana and a cup of coffee. Every morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about it. Sometimes I go out to breakfast, but I'm trying to lose weight right now. And that's a long story too. I'm trying to lose weight so I can be a better surfer, because the less you weigh, the less you have to pop up on the board, right? It's like pretty elementary. and so so I have this breakfast, and then I have this routine. I interviewed somebody named BJ Fogg, and he was talking about tiny habits. And then there's Katie Milkman, who is a social psychologist. She's like the next Bob Cialdini, if you will. Bob Cialdini is the guy who wrote Influence. And every one of you listeners needs to read Influence by Bob Cialdini. So she has this theory about the way you get from here to there is you make a public statement and you say something like, in my case, if I don't weigh 185 pounds by June 1st, I'm going to do something that I so hate that it will drive me to not miss that goal. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So do you want to know what the goal is? But I don't know. We might lose some listeners right now.
Can't leave us hanging, Guy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I started this at 203 and a half pounds. I want to be 185 by June 1st. And so I publicly told people, if I don't make 185 by June 1st, I'm going to donate $750 to the Trump re-election campaign. And there is nothing I would hate. I would freaking die before that. I will cut off a leg to lose 15 pounds. So and now getting back to BJ Fogg's tiny habits. So, one of the things about losing weight is it's just like sales, right? What gets measured is what happens. Mm-hmm. So you got to weigh yourself every day, but weighing yourself every day gets depressing if you're not losing weight. So I made this tiny habit that this is really deep. I love showers. I take like 2 or 3 showers. Don't tell anybody in California. I take the drought is over. I take 2 or 3 showers a day. I love hot water on my head. And so I have this tiny habit that I step on the scale. And once I step on the scale, then I have permission to take a shower. Mm. And I'm going to lose weight so I don't have to donate money to Donald Trump. So now, like everybody's listening, what the hell is this guest on this show for? But there's some principles here that can help you be remarkable. One is to bundle something you don't like to do with something you love to do. Mm. So I don't like to weigh myself, but I love showers. So in order to get to the shower that I love, I have to do something I don't like to do, which is weigh myself. So now all you salespeople are thinking, is there something I hate to do that I can bundle with something I love to do so that I get in the habit of doing it? And then the other thing is this kind of public goal that, you say to yourself, well, if I don't make quota or if I don't, reach this sales figure, I'm going to X. I'm going to become a Habs fan or something.
Guy went there. Darrell, Guy went there. I love it.
Something really distasteful, right? So, so that's, I'm telling you to be funny and tell you these funny stories, but there's some serious social psychology and behavioral psychology there.
Mm-hmm. And you know what I like about what you just said, Guy, and it ties into one of the pillars in our trust formula that we just firmly believe in is disciplined habits.
Yeah.
And, just making a sales-centric statement for just a moment is there's a lot of salespeople out there that are trying to chase a shiny object. They're looking for the silver bullet, the quick hack. Tell me how I can get from point A to point B as fast as possible with the minimalist amount of work.
Yeah.
It requires disciplined habits. It requires consistency. And I love that you just woven in just simple, small habits. And when you do that and you compound them over every single day, watch what starts to happen.
Well, yeah. To me, you only have so much energy and so much attention and so much brain power, right? So okay, call me a boring person, but now I know I'm going to have one piece of toast with peanut butter and banana. I don't need to think about that, right? And almost every day I wear, I love this line of clothing called Scotty Vest. So almost every day I wear this black mock turtleneck. So now these are 2 decisions I don't have to think about. I know what I'm going to have for breakfast and I know what I'm going to wear. So, and then I step on the scale, I take a shower and I think of not giving money to Donald Trump. I am totally focused, baby.
He's in. I love that. Well, reducing the number of decisions makes me think of Steve Jobs. And I think that, in the book, you share his quote from the commencement address he gave about you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. So I'm curious, how have you seen the dots connect backwards in your career and your relationships?
Okay. Holy shit, you're going to regret asking this question. Okay, so let's take something that I think many people would consider pretty remarkable. Jane Goodall did the foreword for this book. All right. So freaking Jane Goodall, not Joe Blow from Blow Sales Consulting. This is Jane Goodall wrote the foreword. All right. So now you ask, so Guy, how did you get Jane Goodall? So let me tell you the path. And there's an important lesson here. Well, I'll tell you the lesson in advance. If you're a teacher or know a teacher, you should appreciate him or her because that person can change the arc of your life. That's the lesson that's coming up. All right. So now we go back to my youth in Hawaii. I come from a lower middle class family. I'm going to a public school in Honolulu, Hawaii. And the 6th grade teacher tells my parents, your son has too much potential. You got to get him out of the public school system, put him in a private school system so he can go to college. Thank you, God, my parents listened to her. Thank you, God, my parents made that sacrifice. So I transferred out of the public school system to the private school system. Somehow, by some miracle, I applied and got into Stanford. At Stanford, I met this guy who eventually hired me into the Macintosh division, not because I had the right educational background, because I majored in the easiest major I could find at Stanford, which was psych, and not because I had the right work experience, because I was in the jewelry business, schlepping gold and diamonds. So it was pure nepotism. So that's one lesson right there. It doesn't matter how you get your job. It matters what you do once you get your job. Okay, so now I'm in the Macintosh division, and I was successful there. I became very visible as the Macintosh evangelist. Now, fast forward 10 more years. Out of the blue, the woman who runs TEDx Palo Alto sends me an email and says, Guy, I'm a Macintosh user. I know of you. I don't know you personally. You don't know me, but I know of you because of your Macintosh exposure, right? So second lesson right there. It's not who you know. It's who knows of you. That's the key. All right. So she says, yeah, I got Jane Goodall to come to our conference. I would like you to interview her on stage. Like, holy shit, my head is exploding. You're asking me to interview Jane Goodall on stage. Like, pinch me, can it get any better than that? So of course I accept. I interview Jane. We become friends. We are still friends. We're very good friends. So that's how I get to know Jane Goodall. Then fast forward a few more years, I decide to do a podcast. And I'm thinking like, who would be a good first guest for a podcast? Let's see. Nelson Mandela is dead. Martin Luther King is dead. Jesus is dead. We're shortening the list, and there's Jane Goodall. So I get Jane Goodall as my first guest. And as podcasters, you know that the first thing a potential guest asks is, "Who else have you had?"
Yep.
And so when people ask me, "Who else have you had?" I say, I don't know. Maybe you heard of her, Jane Goodall. And let's just say, not many guests say, "Oh, you have second-tier people. I probably wouldn't want to be in your podcast." So now I have Jane Goodall on my podcast 2 or 3 times. We become even closer friends. And now I write this book based on the podcast, whittling down the 250 hours and 5,000 pages. And I asked Jane Goodall to write my foreword. And she agrees. So the moral of this story is that the reason why Jane Goodall was my first guest and she wrote the foreword for my book is because a 6th grade teacher in 1965 or so told my parents to put me in a private school. That's connecting the dots.
Wow.
I love this because you just never know who can change the course of your life.
That's right.
And I just want to play on this word connection for just a moment, because I really, really, really believe this, guy, is when you can start connecting the dots in your network, you never know who you'll meet. Yeah. And one conversation can absolutely change the whole course of your career, just, like that. Yes. But I got to throw you on the spot. By the way, thank you for sharing time with us. I'm having a blast. But I want to play on this word remarkable. Because in the beginning of the podcast, Darrell asked you, Guy, what's it mean to you to sell from the heart? So I'm going to ask you another question, but it's on remarkable. What does remarkable look like to Guy Kawasaki?
Okay. So first, let me tell you what remarkable doesn't mean. Okay. So my podcast is called Remarkable People. My book is called Think Remarkable. My podcast is not called Rich People. It's not called Famous People. It's not even called Influential People. It's called Remarkable People. So for me, remarkable people are people who have made a difference. They've made a difference by making the world a better place. Now, I don't want listeners to think, oh, Guy is saying that, read his book and I can be the next Steve Jobs, Jane Goodall, or Elon Musk. God help you. And that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm telling you that you can make a difference to one person. You could be one person's mentor. You could have one high school classroom that you change, one athletic team. You could clean up one ditch. It could be remarkable if you're the first generation college student in your life and your parents, snuck across the US border and now you're living in the United States and you're going to college. I think that's remarkable. So it's about making a difference. That's the key for me.
Love it. Love it. And that is the heart behind Selling from the Heart in this community of sales professionals around the world that say they want to be remarkable. Well, Guy, what an amazing conversation. As we wrap up, what
do you mean? It's 25 minutes already?
Yeah, I know. It went so quick, didn't it? Well, you'll have to have you back.
Wait. Like, it doesn't cost any more to have a longer podcast. Why do you limit it to 25 minutes?
Because we have salespeople that have the attention span of goldfish, like me and Larry. Now,
wow.
All right. Okay, Darrell.
We just extended this conversation.
We just extended this conversation.
We're in bonus time, folks. This is great.
What if your guest is so freaking interesting and valuable? Can't you extend it?
It could happen.
Hey, Guy, by the way, I think this podcast just got extended. You're awesome.
What?
Hey, okay. So you cannot let me go away without giving my one pice of advice that everybody wants to know. How do you?
That's what I was about to ask. This is perfect. So we're eye to eye. We're on this. Okay.
So the question is, if you're going to ask Guy a question, it's how do you be a good evangelist? How do you be a remarkable evangelist, right?
Yes.
So evangelism means bringing the good news, as I said. So this is called Guy's golden touch. Now, I'm not going to go into Joe Girard moment, okay? But I love when I can talk to salespeople because I can drop all these names and I know you know who Joe Girard is.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I know
you know Napoleon Hill. I know you know Bob Cialdini. I love that. I don't have to explain anything. So Guy's golden touch is not what you might be guessing, which is everything I touch turns to gold. That is not true. I touched a lot of stuff that turned to shit. But I'll tell you that the key to great evangelism is Guy's golden touch. And Guy's golden touch is whatever is gold, Guy touches. Now, that sounds like a duhism, but that's a very important concept, which is if you want to be a great salesperson or you want to be a great evangelist, sell something great. Mm-hmm. Do not affiliate yourself with shit and do not affiliate yourself with mediocre stuff just to make a buck. You find something, you affiliate with it or you create it. Create something great that makes a difference.
Hey, Darrell, it's so good because I can sum that up. I talk a lot, Guy, in the last chapter of the book about not being an empty suit. Mm-hmm. What you just said is how not to be an empty suit. And if we make this sales centric, there's a lot of people that just go through life selling stuff.
Yeah.
Just because.
But you know what? I mean, as I said, I'm going to see how long I can stretch you guys out. I'm 69 years old, okay, and I have figured this out, that there are only two functions in life that are truly essential. And that is you're either making it or you're selling it. That's it. Everything else you can hire, you can farm out, you can find hired guns, but the key to most organization is somebody's got to make it and somebody's got to sell it. And if you can do either of those things, you will be a very valuable person. So make it or sell it.
I love it. I love it. Well, since we got a little extra time here, there is one question that I wanted to ask. We're in OT. This is great, and I love this here. We talk a lot at Selling from the Heart about proximity is power, being there in person, being face to face, being in the room. All of this, and in the book, you talk about the importance of seeing operational realities in person. Now, I'm Canadian. So I am not going to try to pronounce these Japanese words and mispronounce them right here on the radio. But this organizational culture inside from Japan is something that I think is a piece of wisdom that is extremely valuable for sales professionals that believe that proximity is power. Can you unpack what you learned from Japanese organizational culture about being there in person in the operation?
So this is really Toyota popularized this, sure. Right? So the concept is that rather than reading, your executive dashboard or your monthly reports or your computer terminal reports, instead of just reading reports, you actually go and see. So if you want to see what's happening on the factory floor, you don't read the report. You go on the floor and you watch the people make the stuff. So that's go and see. But I'm telling you, this is a power tip. This tip alone would pay for the book. Okay. So if you want to go beyond go and see and be better, you go and be, BE. Because going and being means that you're not watching somebody on the factory floor. You're on the factory floor and you're trying to make that car. You're trying to make that TV, or you're trying to do something. You're trying to see, like, what is it really like to be this person? Or I'll use a car example. So yes, you can go and see how young families use a minivan, but it is far more powerful to go and be. So you and your spouse take your 2 kids, your 2 strollers, your 2 baby seats, and your 2 baby bags, and you go see and be the person with 2 kids trying to make that all work in a sedan. And you will understand why people like minivans. And I'll give you one more great example. So there was this pharmaceutical company that hired my friend Martin Lindstrom. They wanted to get closer to the customer. And I'm being pejorative. Get closer to the customer in air quotes. That's a sign that management has kind of lost track. And now they want to hire McKinsey and pay $5 million to get this, customer survey. So what he did is he took the executives of the company, put them in a room, and he made them all breathe through straws. And let's just say it's hard to breathe through a straw for a very long time. And at the end of the exercise, he said, you're a pharmaceutical company. You want to get closer to your customer. That's what it's like to have asthma. You are breathing through a straw your whole life. So you want to get closer to a customer. Go breathe through a straw. So for you salespeople out there, what is the equivalent of breathing through a straw? So you're actually being your customer. And if you do that, you will be a better salesperson.
Oh, this is like, hey, Darrell, this is Shadow 101, right? No, serious, Guy. This is like, throwing this back at sales leaders and salespeople for just a moment. If you take what Guy just said, how about just spending the day with a customer?
Yeah.
Shadow a customer, walk in their shoes, just hang out with them the whole entire day.
Yeah.
Imagine what you could learn in one day.
Well, and plus, I guarantee you that customer will be your customer for life because nobody else from your competitors have done that.
Nope.
I'm having flashbacks. The first big deal I ever won, put me on the map 2.5 decades ago, was spending a day working as a nursing assistant. We put scrubs on and everything. And that day we learned what it took to unseat a very, very formidable competitor. I love that. I love that concept.
I hope I wasn't in for treatment that day.
Not a great thing to know. Seriously though, you walk a mile in the shoes, and this is something incredibly powerful. I love.
Can I tell you one more funny story since we got into medical now? when I was at undergrad at Stanford, this is back in the 70s, right? So back in the 70s, if you're Asian American, your parents want you to be doctor, lawyer, or dentist. So I get to Stanford. I think I'm pre-med. I sign up for this class where you walk around the Stanford Medical Center. And I swear to God, the first class, we're doing rounds, right? I freaking faint. And I said, I don't think you want to be a doctor. I fainted. I don't want to be a doctor. Forget it. So that's sometimes, you can help your decision-making process walking in the shoes of people.
No doubt.
Oh, Lordy, Darrell. This is so good.
Such a fun conversation. All right, Guy, if you could say one thing, one piece of advice, hard one, in the book or not in the book, to this global group of sales professionals, what would it be?
Well, I mean, the salesperson in me is like ABC, always be closing, right? So, for crying out loud, buy my book, Think Remarkable. But I don't think that's what you're asking. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a new concept for you. All right. So there's a concept called noblesse oblige, which means that the nobility have an obligation to help other people, less fortunate people. I have come to dislike that term because it implies that there is nobility and they're helping the peons, right? That it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and they're out of the goodness of their souls, they're helping the peons, which is bullshit. So I have redefined that term to success oblige. So I think if you're successful, you have an obligation to hold that door open, make that door bigger, make the tide rise, float all the boats. So the first third of your career, you're underpaid. The second third of your career, you're overpaid. And the last third of your career, you pay back. It's your success oblige.
Oh, that is so good, because I buy into exactly that. And it goes back to, and I forgot the author, but it talks about the second mountain. I think it's the name of the book. And it's your first half of your life, you're climbing the mountain, right? And it goes to the first two things that you just said. The last half, or the second mountain, is where you really find yourself. And I could say that just because, I'm knocking on 60. So I'm right. I'm tracking there with you, Guy.
I'm way past 60. All right.
Guy, the question that everybody now, if they've not hit pause and gone to buy the book, what they're thinking right now is, how can I get more Guy Kawasaki in my life? How can folks get more Guy Kawasaki in their life?
Well, there's GuyKawasaki.com. There's obviously the book. It's hard to avoid me. I'm kind of like smog. So. So GuyKawasaki.com, but seriously, this is my 16th book. And if you want to stay absolutely current with me, it's my podcast, because this book was frozen, 3 months ago, but my podcast continues, and the podcast is getting easier and better because as you get more known, it's easier and better to get guests. So right now, we turn down 10 people a day to be on my podcast. So you figure we have, let's say there's 250 working days. We probably turn down 2,500 people. We take 52 people. So I can tell you with pretty good certainty that it's easier to get into Stanford and Harvard than it is on my podcast.
I love it. Oh, what a
Guy! What an incredible treat! Thank you so much for sharing time with us today. This has been fantastic.
Much. Yeah, I feel
awesome.
I feel sorry for your Habs, but okay. Hey, I went to the very first Heritage Classic, in Edmonton.
Okay.
Holy shit. You Canadians are nuts, man. It was like -40 in that game. My God.
Absolutely. I don't understand what you're talking about.
It's cold when the Fahrenheit and centigrade are the same.
Right. They're the same. That's right. That's when you're in Canada in the winter. Guy, thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Amazing.
Bye. Take it easy.
What a fun time.
Hey, you know what, Darrell? I have a sneaky feeling this could have been a Joe Rogan-esque podcast.
We could have gone on for hours. And I love this. And but I want everybody to continue this conversation by going and grabbing this book. Remarkable. It is truly remarkable. And one thing I know is at Selling from the Heart, we talked at the beginning of this about vulnerability and showing up, being present. There were so many aspects of this conversation that aligned with philosophy of selling from the heart. And I'm so grateful we got to share this time with Guy.
Yeah, no, same here. And you just never know. And I really want to play on this for a second is I encourage everyone out there, you never know who knows somebody who knows somebody.
That's right.
You got to ask, you got to start connecting the dots in your network because that one conversation, one connection can change the course of your career. Guy even shared it. It goes all the way back to elementary school.
That's right. And I love this. So much good stuff here. We're going to be unpacking this for a long time. I also want to let you know we've got some exciting announcements coming up very shortly. So make sure to like or subscribe and make sure to tune in. The next few episodes are going to be dynamite. And I can't wait to share the announcement that we have coming up for you here very shortly. Thank you to everybody who's liking and subscribing to the podcast, especially those of you who are leaving reviews. It helps us spread the word about this movement of authenticity in the sales profession. And Larry, it is movement and it's exciting.
It is. We always say here at Selling from the Heart, authenticity is a lifestyle. It's not a light switch. We're super grateful to all of you out there. Thank you for listening.
Hear, hear. Well, until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, be remarkable, and most of all,
sell from the heart.